Well, as we shared, it's technical difficulties, but hopefully now you got some audio because this is an important one. I need you to be able to hear me because I'm going to lay it all out today. I'm going to share with you the business plan that we use to turn domain names into revenue generating passive income. We've done this with towing.com, transportreviews.com, cartransport.com, and a bunch of different domain names. But most importantly, even with one of them, we can generate lots of income. And if you're familiar, one of the things I've spent time this last little bit of time, flustered about the sound thing. But over the last few weeks, I've been buying domains like crazy. And the entire purpose is to do this business model, to take exactly what it is that we do and do it on more and more domain names. So I know there's going to be some good content in there. It has made me and this company quite a bit of revenue over the years. And it all started with me and a computer. Can't even say a laptop because it was one of those old clunky desktops. Me and a computer doing this on domain names, although the domain names weren't even that great back in the day. So if you're a starter, good stuff there. But it started with me just in a computer, and now it's done by me and my entire team. So I know this business plan works. So I'm not even gonna run the intro. Yeah, I will. I'll run an intro, and we will get going on. I'm flying by the seat of my pants. Isn't it great? Say hi to everybody else in the chat because it's a new year. We're all flying by the seat of our pants. Let's get this going.
From domain to profit, from a .com to a business idea. Take a domain name, develop an income from domain to profit. We'll show you how. Domain to profit, from domain to profit. Join Drew Walsh and get started right now.
Okay. Well, that's luckily I have some video all saved up from when I do remote shows. So I just go to the remote queue and make things happen that way. So let me see here. We're having the tech issues there, Matt and Chaz. Thanks for sharing that out. They're my inside guys. And how's it going, Dominic? Thanks for joining us. And we see Matt giving us thumbs up, letting us know we're good now. And then Petru, how's it going? Thanks for joining us. This is out of all the shows. Every week prior to this, I have hinted at this topic. I don't 100% know why I've not shared it with everybody that views from domain to profit. In my brain, I'm an awkward guy. I say I'm an awkward guy from Cincinnati. The awkwardness, though, I write stories in my own brain, and I think. Well, of course, we all write stories in our own brain, but I write stories and somehow just kind of think that because I do this all the time, you already know it, if that makes sense, which, of course, it does not make sense. That's the whole point. So that's why on this show today, I'm going to share the business model that we have. But first, I want to look at some domain names, the domain names that I've found through expireddomainnames.net, expireddomainnames.net. It's what I use to search through domains that are expiring over on GoDaddy and so on. And this week, instead of trying to do a timer type of thing, I want to go and actually share over to expireddomains.net, which is where we get them. So I found that in many cases, you and other, basically all, you like to see where we're getting them from, how we're getting them, so you can duplicate it exactly. So we're just going to go with this method. It works when we're remote, so it's going to work now. So here's some of the domain names that I pulled. I only got 8 this week, and I got these. I'm just switching over to this tab. Over here on GoDaddy Expired, under the marketplace domains on expireddomains.net. And some of the other ones that we often check will be Dropcatch, which are expired domains that are caught by Dropcatch and put up for auction. Then you could also do snap names, pre-release domain names. Those are all good lists to go. There's also others as well. It's just there's not as frequent of domains available. So, or quality ones, I should say. There's hundreds of thousands of domains. A lot of them are garbage. So over on the watch list, let me just read these off, and hopefully they are still available for auction. Sometimes they disappear. So Fleet, clicking on these as I go. The first one, I'll zoom into the screen here. FleetExperts.com, and that one is over on SnapNames, and that's one of the ones. Now, SnapNames is a different one from GoDaddy. With SnapNames, you need to add it to your cart and say that you're at a payment, say that you will pay at least $69 for a domain name to get in on that auction. So on this one, you'll see the minimum bid is $79, and that is to add it to your cart if you're open. And this one may have been renewed because it's saying availability unknown, but this one was showing up earlier. And that's one of the downsides of expired domains is they often disappear. So the next one up would be contentmanagers.com. And you'll see over here, again, this is a snapnames.com domain auction. And you have to order by January 5th, 2021. You have to enter the auction. You have to do that before it ever starts. Otherwise, you have no opportunity to join or bid on these domain names. So it's kind of a different format from what we show a lot of times on GoDaddy auctions. So those are those. And we'll go back and do 3-minute business plans on a couple of these. Then there's bagtags.com. This one, again, SnapNames. SnapNames, this one is January 5th. So by tomorrow evening, you're going to need to make sure to add this domain name if you're interested in it. Let me get rid of Fleet Experts since that one's gone. OpenGalleries.com. And if you're watching, you can also see just kind of on the screen all the domains. I'm going to go down. They're not preloaded or anything. I'm just kind of making it up as I go along. Hope you like that. I like it. So OpenGalleries.com. This one's over on GoDaddy. This one ends in 2 days and currently at $12. And that's just a standard auction. Just got to have the money, have the account ready before the end of that auction. Transportation Tech. And I'm going to also get Video Logger loading since they take a minute. So Transportation Tech is still available. That one's 6 days out. So that one's going to be over the weekend at $12 currently. And then this is what I was talking about. This is why I'm clicking on each of these is the Video Logger one, which I was hoping to do just because it was so close to Video Blogger, but videologger.com, that one's going to be gone. Let's check cannabiscandies.com as our final domain that we'll talk about today. And unfortunately, Cannabis Candies are gone. That's a bummer. See, that's what happens. That's showbiz. So we have 4 domain names that we'll talk about a little bit later on today. But for now, let's go into and talk a little bit about the business model. This one here, right here. This is it. Let me pull this up on the screen as well. But this is our business model, and apologies, it's going to take me 1 second to pull this up because evidently I closed that tab. And if I was a super hacky person, I'd probably be able to right click on the history and tell it to open up the previous tab. But of course that's not working. And now that I'm clicking on files, whole File Explorer crashes. So we'll go with Skycam. This is fun. Okay, so that's me. That's upside down, not you. So what we talk about here is we talk about our business model is one that uses a premium domain name to generate revenue. The revenue is going to come out based on the value that you provide here or through this process. So this process, here's what we're going to be talking about. So what exactly are we trying to build? We just so happen to have it up with our handy dandy screen here, or our drawing that we've done, looked at each week pretty much. So the domain name that we purchase, we can build anything. They're a blank canvas. Every domain name that's out there is a blank canvas that you can build on. You don't have to, you can have any domain. You can build anything that you want to on any domain name. That's what we're showing here. You can put the effort in. It's hard, but the domain's the foundation. The domain names that we look for to develop are going to be domains that bring more to the picture. They bring authority. So when you say the domain name, you can tell what it is and believe that that domain name has something to do with that topic. They bring value in the form of, say, a bunch of other companies would love to own that domain name. That makes it valuable. They would love to own it for their own company. Well, you can share it out. So there's already value associated with the domain name. And then there's potential. Potential kind of falls for all domain names. Everything has potential, but you know how it goes. Realistically, some domain names just have more potential than others. Like three-letter domain names. There's a reason a lot of people pay more money for a 3-letter or 4-letter domain name. And the reason is it just kind of has more potential. Even if it's ZYX or something like that, it's short and somehow it has potential. I don't buy those kinds of domains, but you see how it might have more potential. And then scarcity. Every domain name out there, there's only one of them. There's one domain name, and the person that owns it's going to be the one that owns it. Therefore, if it's a better domain name or a generic domain name, which is something that we deal with often, is like towing.com, that generic domain name, there's only one of them. But you can imagine thousands of companies out there would love to own that domain name because of its scarcity. So that scarcity adds kind of that value piece. That's where the value comes from, is scarcity. And I'm still trying to pull it up. It's not going to happen. So, it's the downside of live stuff. We just have to figure it out as we go along. It doesn't always work out as well as I'd hope. But let me see here. Petru mentions that, Drew, fleetexperts.com is still available for back order on Snap names. And that actually brings up a pretty good point about domain names. The domain names that we mentioned on the show are domain names that the previous owner has let go. They've, for whatever reason, they're no longer going to renew it. That domain name goes back to the general public before it ever hits it to where you can just go register it, like through GoDaddy or someplace like that, where you just type it in and it's, hey, this domain's available. Before it can get to that stage, it has to go through guys like me and you, since you know about the show. Basically, it's auctions. And what Petru is talking about here is it's for back order. So let me share these screens out. What he's referring to is you can back order using a service like snapnames.com any domain name you want. You can go out there and back order google.com if you really want to. The only thing is of course, they'll never let it go. But you can back order any domain name you want to. The domain names that we mentioned typically usually will have, they're on their way to being expired and available for auction. So in this case, you can still get it, but it's going to be a general back order, not something you're going to have to wait a long time. It's not going to be over the course of this week, which actually I guess I haven't mentioned that in a long time. But the domain names that we try to mention on the show are domain names that are available this week. Between this show and the next show, next Monday, the domain names we mentioned are going to be available, and then they're not by next week. That's why it's so important to watch it live, hang out with us here for a little bit while we talk about expired domains. Is the opportunity that you may be waiting for might be mentioned live on this show. You may leave here with a domain name you didn't know about, a business plan for that domain name that you might be interested in creating, all over the course of a week. So life-changing just on a live stream. So, okay. So the first piece, so back to the Skycam here. So what we try to do is take a domain name, use what it has valuable about it, authority, value, potential, scarcity. Those two go together. And we're just trying to tap that domain name to pull out revenue over the course of the lifetime of that domain name, or month to month reoccurring revenue. That's what we do. So on towing.com, it looks like, it may look, when you look over one of our sites, as if we're doing something like super fancy or super elaborate. Hopefully it doesn't. Most likely you're looking at our sites and going, this is simple. This actually makes a bunch of money. And here's why. We're doing exactly those things on that valuable domain name, towing.com, and we're sharing it with an industry using this right here, our premium domain name business plan. And if my computer ever lets me pull open that file, I'll do so. But hopefully I don't cause everything to crash while I'm just kind of, I prefer the blue screen of death back in the day when your website or your computer would just die. Nowadays it tries to fix itself and makes it rather difficult to run a live show when you're doing this. I decided for this year though that I do want to make sure that I'm being pretty fly by the seat of my pants with this show. If I turn it into something that I have to prepare a ton for, I know that I'm going to end up shorting you or stop doing the show. So anyhow, let's see if I can share this screen out. Dag nabbit. See, that's the kind of thing that drives me nuts. I just want it to work, and it's not going to work. Let's try to share the screen, see if I can get this to show up. And no. Okay. Oh, well. You win some, you lose some. So you're just going to have to deal with me holding it up to the camera. Let me try to get it up here so you can see it a little bit. There you go. Sorry about the sirens. It's the downside of having the mic. So the business model is composed of 3 different things that each feed into each other in a way that you can create a website on a domain name about a topic that you probably don't even know much about and turn that domain name into passive income. So maybe you own a domain name, it's in your portfolio, and towing.com, for example. I'm not a tower. I don't know anything about towing. I can try to figure something out, but realistically, I'd probably be just like you, just trying to figure that crap out. The fact is, though, I bought the domain name, and what I did know was that domain name could be used to benefit the towing companies through the web. Only one person could own it. I know exactly what I'm talking about, the domain name here. So how do I build out this website that I know nothing about the topic? So what do other people do? Others will sometimes, hire people to research the industry and create content. I don't care to do that. Some will try to become the expert and create the content themselves. Again, that sounds like work. It doesn't sound, you can do it. There's plenty of people that create sites based on content. That's just not what I'm looking to do. I want to work hard once and then step back and let it do its magic. So we know that we're going to need content. We just don't know anything about the subject, which is the topic of the domain name. So what do? How do we solve that? That was the question that kind of always plagued me back in the day when, how do we create a website about a topic, about an industry that we really don't know anything about? And that's when it kind of hit me. We don't need to know anything about it. The companies in that industry know that industry. They know their business, which is why everything we do starts with this here, number 1, which is user-generated content. User-generated content. Let me go over to the big cam. This right over here. User-generated content is the first step of what we do and getting the experts in that field. I say that my company builds out websites. We use a premium domain name and allow communities of experts to benefit from that domain name. So what does this look like? Okay. Users generate content. They would love to own towing.com. They can't. We do. But why would they want to own it? Well, they'd want to own it because it's authoritative. They want to have it to represent their company. Like it's easy to remember. There's, all those little things that come with having a good domain name. So how do we use those and say, okay, Mr. Towing Company, well, what if we provide you some tools and you can put up a profile over on the site. You can show up on towing.com when people search in your area, because realistically, you only care about your area, right? You're a local company. You just want to make sure you get the business and the exposure from your area. So we'll show you in your local area, and then we'll help you use the domain name to get exposure. You'll get a towing.com. You'll have a URL. So towing.com/your company or something along those lines that you can put on your business cards. Basically, you're sharing that scarce resource of a domain name. So using that kind of power that we have, we share out the domain name, and we provide a company an opportunity to put their company information on the website to show up when people search the site. So let me just kind of show you. I like hands-on. Let's go hands-on. So this is not a commercial for our site, of course. So when you go to towing.com, it is the most absolute simple website in the world. If you're broke down the side of the road, you're going to end up on towing.com. For what reason? Because you need a towing company. So in the US, we use zip codes. It also works with GPS and location, especially if you're on your cell phone. And this is what the results look like on when I do a search for zip code. Here's the key. Let me zoom in on this one. None of the information that you're going to see was typed in by us. We didn't type it in. We didn't enter it in. We didn't add the images. We didn't format anything. We didn't think, or like, it's not us. Like it's anything you see is all entered in by the customer, the user of the website, the person that sees value in that domain name and showing up there. And you could do this for free, or you can do this for a paid membership, which of course, once you get traffic like a towing.com does, you charge. You can charge for it. We charge there's just a membership fee, a monthly fee that they pay to be on here. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense, because that's an important aspect of what I'm talking about here. So this was all entered in by the customer. We just provided a form. The zip code enters in because I typed it. I typed the zip code. This page was created on the fly. And the images, there's some default. So this image was created by our system for the background. So up in here, this logo is entered by the company, all their details, all their phone numbers and things, all entered. And then there's no custom content on this page, which is what I'm looking for. I'm looking for content related to, okay, let me just log in and click on another company, show you a little more detail. So here's some of the content. It may take a second to load and show it to you. This is a picture of this customer's truck. That's their tow truck. That's their logo. There's their video, their links to social. Like, it's all this stuff that you see on every company profile that you've ever run across as a web surfer, right? This is nothing special. But here's the key. They entered this information. They could enter this information. They could enter in all kinds of additional information. The information found on our sites is entered by the user because they have a reason to do that. The exposure on that domain name. So it's important that it's a good domain name. This is one of the reasons why we'll pay a bunch of money for a domain name. So just last week or 2 weeks ago, we bought ductcleaners.com. Do you think that all these duct cleaning companies out there would be interested in showing up on that domain name or owning it? Absolutely. So how many duct cleaners are there out there? A lot. There's, we can use the Local Legion 300 that we talked about in week 2 or so, which is go to the 300 largest cities in the U.S. Each one, you better guarantee, is going to have at least one duct cleaning company, but most likely more. And then we can just call them all up and say, hey, we own ductcleaners.com. We're looking for a company to represent your area. The first one that shows up on top. Boom. Do you want to be number one? Do you want to beat out the competition? They, of course, have an interest in that. It's just a matter of whether they have enough interest in it to pay you money to be able to join that. So that's realistically what we're always doing. Okay, well, what does this entail as a duct cleaning company, for example? Well, you get to come in, you create a profile. Why would I want to do that? Well, the profile on ductcleaners.com, DUCT, is going to allow you to, so when people are Googling duct cleaners, or if you want to put something on your business card, you can put ductcleaners.com/Cincinnati Cleaners or something like that. And now you have a URL that is, authoritative because it's on this nationwide industry ductcleaners.com, and allows you to kind of stand out. No, I have my own website. Why would I need to do that? Well, you can have your own website, but this allows you to have a third party piece where it's a seal of approval. It adds the authority of that domain name, passes on to the company. Okay, so the goal is to motivate them through the quality domain name to be willing to enter in their information. And hopefully they will even go a step further. Let me share back to the screens and let me show you one of the websites that we use that collects probably the most data that we have, and that's this site over here. I don't talk about it as much as I do with towing.com, but this is what it currently looks like. So this is a review website that I've ran for, my goodness, well over 20 years. And you'll see here, there is, there's over 267,000 customer reviews and all kinds of different reviews. Anyhow, there's all kinds of data on this website. We did not create the data. We didn't enter any of this. All we did was put up a form and kind of said, hey, fill out this form and we're going to show it on our website. That's all. So let's go back to this here. And let me just show you this. So all we're saying is, okay, user, we have a good website and we've created a way for you to enter in information to benefit from that website. You get a company profile, or you can post reviews, or you can show up as an expert, whatever kind of content. We have all kinds of content that we can add to a website. Pick one, start with something simple. Company profiles is what I always recommend. And then step 2 is you have to organize that content. So you're organizing it. Just putting it into a database doesn't really accomplish much, right? It's, everybody has spreadsheets sitting around that they never use, which is essentially a database. If you want that data to matter, you have to find ways to put it out into the world. A company profile does that. Behind the scenes, that user enters company information, their company's information. It goes into a database, which is, just think of it kind of like a spreadsheet. You likely know what a database is, but it's essentially a spreadsheet. And then we have to, in step 2, we have to display that. So this is where you're going to get into, you're going to need, the coders to create pretty reports, or you can do it as well. Lots of good tools out there. This is where you're pulling user-generated data and displaying it out to the public. Creative ways of doing this are going to be what bring value to the user, bring value to the company, bring value to the SEO piece. So as you can see, it's SEO on this because you're bringing value to Google as well. You're bringing value to the search engines because you're saying this company has entered in information here, as well as this company and this company and this company. They're all centralized around a topic, ductcleaners.com or towing.com. All that topic is topical, so it's based on a certain set of keywords or a topic. Therefore, when you display this content out to the search engines, they're like, oh yeah, these ductcleaners.com is showing a bunch of duct cleaners. That's relevant. It's relevant to duct cleaners. So maybe we'll give them an opportunity to show up in the search engines. So your goal is to get the users in step 1 to submit content. It could be any kind of number of different content, but you can use our sites as some references. But company profiles is where we always start. and then that content goes onto the site in a visually, hopefully pleasing, clear way that is formatted well for Google and search engine optimization, search engine friendly. And then Google takes that information and hopefully shows you in the results, leading to part 3 of this process here, which is the traffic. This is what everybody's wanting to dive into, right? Everybody wants to dive into the traffic. They're like, oh, search engine optimization takes too long. Oh, search engine optimization, it takes forever to rank, or it's hogwash. Like yes, search engine optimization takes a while. But if you run this process, starting with user-generated content, get it out into the search engines, if you try to create the content, just think of how slow this process is. You create an article, you submit it to Google, you wait 60 days hoping that it actually generates some traffic, and then you're like, oh, that was rewarding. So no, this is user-generated content. Like 100 reviews are submitted every single day on Transport Reviews. Companies, I think 40 a day, log into towing.com and answer questions or modify their profile or describe a service. There's all kinds of content being submitted all the time, which is being organized by our system. Basically, we're pulling it out of a database and displaying it on the site. Google sees it. We're feeding it into Google. By that, I mean a site map or just having a easy website to search engine navigate for the search engines. WordPress, most of those tools like that are going to make it pretty search engine friendly for you. And then that's going to lead to a little bit of traffic. Your goal, your challenge is to turn traffic into more user-generated content. As long as you're displaying it, this is the missing piece. But you know the beauty of traffic, and this is how you start everything off. The beauty of traffic is that you can buy traffic, right? You can partner with people for traffic. You can do all kinds of stuff. Basically, traffic's the part that you control the most. You control the traffic the most. It's just, it can get expensive. That's why everybody's scared away from it. And they're like, oh, but if I pay money and then my content's not good enough. Well, if your users, if the experts in that industry or who's providing that content, who's going to provide better content? Sometimes you need to coach them a little bit, provide them incentives and things. You can go down a whole rabbit hole of getting quality content, but provide them the incentives and the reason, hopefully a super quality domain name, and they're going to provide the content. So now you need the traffic, great domain name, and they generate content, which you show out to the search engines, which generates 1, 2, 3 people a month. It doesn't even have to be much. Realistically, 100 quotes a day, or 100 reviews go into Transport Reviews every day. If those 100 reviews only get one person to look at them, or 2, over the course of their lifetime, each quote or each review is leading to additional traffic coming back in. So those reviews lead to another type of content that we use on Transport Reviews, which is these price quotes over here. So what we did was, instead of taking reviewers and the traffic we have on Transport Reviews and just putting up a form and charging some money every lead form, we took the form. This is a lead form. So this form here could be filled out, and you can get leads from companies that ship cars. It's not about the industry as much as hopefully so this form goes into leads, okay? But instead of just sending them an email, what we do is we strip the contact and identity information away, and we do this here. We display the quote request on our website, along with all the prices that the companies provide, along with information that the company also enters about the quote, how the customer can order, their company's profile. All of this is entered by the company. In most cases, they have APIs and automation set up to do it. All of this is set up. So here's the cycle for transport reviews' sake. Reviews are entered. Reviews generate. We display those reviews. So the user enters a review. We display those reviews. So hopefully Google likes them and that person shares them out socially and different things. It generates traffic. And then we take that traffic and we look at that traffic and we say, okay, what are these people looking for? And what are they, how can we help them get it in a way that generates content for our site? So if the person finds our site because they're already shipped a vehicle, we might say, hey, submit a review, help other people find a quality auto transport company. Or if they're at the early part and they're researching companies, we show them company profiles, and the companies can add images and videos and tell about their services as well as seeing those reviews. And we say, hey, since you're looking for a company, how about you submit a quote? So it's a cycle. That quote goes into content. That content turns into traffic, and so on and so forth, to where it just escalates. So this is it's like people are always asking, like, what is it that, how do you get things going? How do you do? This is it. That's it. This one little sheet, which since I've had trouble getting it up on my screen, I may, I'll post this up on my Twitter. So Drew Walsh is my Twitter. You'll have to look me up on there, and I'll post it out there so you can see the images. Basically, it's showing step one, user-generated content, going into SEO, curated content into traffic. So here's what I'm going for. On these domain names, we're going to look at a couple of the 3-minute business plans. We're going to run through some of the domains that are available this week. What I encourage you to do is just think of, what are the visitors to that site looking for? How can you help them get it? And how can you possibly help them get it in a way that would create content for future visitors? Does that make sense? I hope so. Because it's an important piece of it, is like creating a way for this wheel, or this machine, as we call it. We call it internet marketing as a service, is what this is referred to. But it's a machine that once you get it going, it runs itself. And while I'm home sleeping or traveling, my websites are generating hundreds and thousands of pages of content that can be used by others. I don't know. And it's really, this is stuff like I said, I did. It looks different, of course. Everything's a little more fancy nowadays, but this is the same stuff I've been doing for, my goodness, close to 20 years now. I don't have to actually get in there and code anymore. So my point is, it's not like it's all that. It's not overly complicated. There's plenty of programmers out there and stuff that can help you do this. It's going to cost you money though, but if you have the idea that you can be clear on, then that's going to be a good start. So let's look at one of these domain names here. And I was asked, why is it that I go with membership sites all the time? Part of it is it runs the machine. It runs the IMaaS machine. Internet marketing is a service. This idea that a member, they pay, they enter in some content, and it just kind of kicks off the machine. So I like that. But realistically, much of why I run membership sites is, it lines up with domain names well. Domain names, best premium domain names. And I'm talking premium. I'm talking, the domain names that are single or 2-word descriptive domain names. Ductcleaners.com, bouncies.com. We about bouncies.com, bounce house things. We bought detailer.com for auto detailers. So these domain names are descriptive to where if you are calling up companies that might be interested in it, and you're like, hey, you interested in partnering with detailer.com, Mr. Auto Detailer? And you can, post an article, you can talk about your services, blah, blah, whatever it is that you want to. You give them a place that they can post on a premium authoritative domain name. Suddenly they're interested in doing it. So that's why I go for membership sites, is because it just goes with our business model. But also, It's passive. Membership sites are passive. If you're doing sales, for example, if you are, say you're selling a product, you can get 100 sales this month. You can pat yourself on the back and be super happy that you kicked butt this month, but you still got to go out and do it every single month. You got to do it again next month. And you can have your sales team, your marketing team do it, but realistically, it's still every single month, every single day, you're starting over. The systems and things it's just, why not just coast? Why not just create a passive way to run a machine instead of creating a system that tells the salespeople what to do? And create a system that allows other people to benefit and do their own thing. Let them do their own magic. That's what we're talking about doing. So hopefully that makes sense. I love membership sites. I say directory type stuff all the time, but it's membership. That's what it is. You're just sharing it out with members. So, okay, let's just get into some of these domain names here. So I'm going to refresh this to get rid of a couple of the domain names so we're down to 4. We're down to 4 domain names that we could possibly even talk about. So I want to talk about bagtags.com first. I like bagtags. So bagtags.com, as you can hear from the name of it, and this one's over on Snap Names, you can see the information on the screen. Bagtags.com, what do you have in your luggage? What do you have? So you can go the product route if you want to work for a living and create a physical product and ship them out to people. You can solve problems by coming up with like bag tags, maybe ways to, like, I don't know, loops that go on bag handles or something just to designate a bag. Or you can create fancy luggage tags, products. You can do all that. You can create a product and sell it. You can create bag tags and put them on bagtags.com. Sure. But next month, when you want to, break a sales record, you better work hard. And the month after that, you got to work that hard again. So you're basically developing out a business that's going to take over your life. So you better darn well be super passionate about bag tags. We're not in the same room. We're not sharing a drink, but something tells me you're not all that passionate about bag tags. Am I correct? I know I'm right. Okay, anyhow. So since you're not passionate about bag tags, but we can hear that domain name and hear that it has some authority to it, that people that do run businesses in bag tags, they're going to be interested in this domain name. Let's run this through the 3-step user-generated content, SEO curated content, and generate some traffic and get us a business. So bag tags, we're talking small things, can be shipped worldwide. So realistically, we're not going to be able to do it for local companies. People going there are going to be looking for bag tags. So a physical product to be shipped to them. We don't want to create a physical product. We don't know anything about bag tags. So realistically, what we're looking for are the companies that do bag tags. They either create them, ship them, whatever else. We want to create a way for each of the companies. Who knows how many companies are out there? Maybe a dozen companies that do bag tags. We create a way for them to create a profile and then list out each of their different products with a button to go and order it. We don't step in. We're not stepping into the bag tag world to run some e-commerce thing. We are just helping them do what they're already doing, selling bag tags on the internet. They pay us to be listed on bagtags.com. They create a profile. They keep their products updated because it benefits them, because we format it and send it out to Google. Does this make sense? The bag tag companies want to be on bag tags. It's a good domain name. It makes sense. They probably have bag tags in their stinking company name, for goodness sakes. So of course they want to have it. Bob's Bag Tags. He would love to be on bagtags.com/Bob's. And it directs and helps him with their search. And there's a lot of benefits to what we do, or to this business model. Okay, so Bob's Bag Tags wants to be on bagtags.com, but we just bought the domain name. Say we bought the domain name for, we paid a couple $100 for this domain name, and voila, Now we ask Bob's Bag Tags to pay us $50 to be one of the 10 companies that we profile on the site. And so now we're making $500 a month. Now that's the key. $500 a month may not be a lot, but you are talking what, $500 a month, $600 or $6,000. Yeah, $6,000 over the course of a year. $6,000 raise for getting 10 people to show up on your site. You can, of course, if there's thousands of bag tag companies out there, voila, you can expand that site, do it by category, do it by service, and charge a little bit more. So I would say bagtags.com is a good domain name. I'd put it, I'd love it in the $200 to $300 range. If you can get it for that price, go for it. If it gets up into above 1,200, it starts to get a little iffy unless unless you've done this stuff a while. So that's one of the things I want to start doing on these is talk about the price range that I'd look for. Now, bag tags as an investor, and here's one of the things. This is an important piece of information that as I was buying domains, I had to kind of explain to a couple people. A domain name can be worth more to an investor than a developer, and sometimes it's worth more to a developer than it is an investor. I bought bartenders.com. Bought bartenders.com last year for $50,000, and a lot of people were like, "What the heck? Why did somebody pay $50,000 for it?" As a developer, especially with that domain name pairing into our other industries, it made sense for us to do it. We will have a way to monetize that domain name to justify that money when the site actually gets launched, when bars are a big thing again. So that's why we could pay more as a developer. Now, there's plenty of domain names that were brought to me over the last couple of weeks as I was asking people to bring domains that they're interested in selling that are great domains, worth six figures, worth a ton of money, but realistically to a developer, it's probably not worth as much. It's just the business model is a little tough. So there you go. So this one may end up going to an investor because bagtags.com, great domain name, a little bit of flexibility. But again, if you can get it in the $200, $300 range, it would be great. It'd be like a 8 out of 10. But if you get it up into above 1,000, it's not going to be, it's going to be a tough one for developers. So significantly reduce the score. So hopefully that makes sense. That's bagtags.com, one of the domain names that we are talking about over on our business plans. So let me answer a question here real quick. Dominic asks, are all your sites custom coded? And if so, the theme is plugged in, we can get with you. So yes, is the answer. We do custom code all of our sites. I learned to code and I created this stuff. It used to be just like static HTML back in the day. So there are WordPress plugins that can help you do some user-generated content. There are different themes and softwares that will help you build this stuff out. I'm a huge fan of custom coding. This basically just draw it up on a couple of sheets. I once kind of drew up, I took cards and I basically said, hey, I'm going to need a login, and they log in. Then when they register, they need you can just draw simple forms, get them to a coder, and they can help you do this. Now, of course, finding a coder is going to be a whole nother thing, but you can do them and have it custom coded for you, doing exactly what it is. I mean, my goodness, do what many other companies do and kind of say, hey, see what towing.com does here. I want to do that. Realistically, it's steal other people's stuff. Don't steal, be inspired by it. So forms that submit content, and you're going to learn as you go along. But the nice thing is you're going to get paid as you go along as well. So that's a nice thing. So yes, we custom code everything, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to. Now let's get on to another one here. Barrio, exactly. you're not even borrowed, you're just really inspired by it. And realistically, that's what it is. Isn't that what they say is something is the best flattery? Basically, stealing people's stuff is the best flattery. I can't remember. Imitation, yeah, maybe. Yeah, imitation is best flattery, but that's true. Like, anyway. So let's go with opengalleries.com. I kind of love these little art ones. And again, I'm showing domain names that are available this week through, and I'm looking on expireddomains.net. Which is the tool that I use. It's free to you. You can just click on the domain names and go right to the auctions when they're available. So opengalleries.com. This one's over on GoDaddy. Currently $12 unless it's changed. And this one ends in 2 days. And here's what I'm thinking with Open Galleries. So let's kind of run it through if we were to try to use this as premium domain name. It's descriptive of Open Galleries. Open galleries, we're talking art galleries, art openings. I'm not much of an art person. Well, I love art, but I don't go to like gallery openings. But I know that that's a thing, that there's people that are, open a gallery, do an art presentation, and then try to sell their art. So why not list those on here? If you're some starving artist that's trying to get exposure to benefit the sales of your art, wouldn't you be interested in listing your art on a website like opengalleries.com? Especially now, this is a virtual thing. You no longer have to have a physical building. You take some photos of your art, you put it on opengalleries.com, they're entering the images, they're entering their profile, they're entering out how to transact, how to buy it, and so on and so forth. You put the tool together, they can upload their images, have the profile, and then you charge them in some way, a membership fee. That's why it's internet marketing as a service. You're helping them market themselves, and you just get a monthly fee. That's it. So now you have this tool. You work hard once, you create the tool, they have the images, where they are in this and that. Boom, now they have a profile on opengalleries.com, and there you go. You're making your money, again, on a membership site, doing exactly this. You're getting the galleries, the artists that are out there, to add their information to the site. Why do they do that? Because opengalleries.com makes sense to them as an artist. If artists knew about it, they'd be like, oh yeah, I'm selling my artwork. I want to be on Open Galleries. You curate it, try to make it look good to where visitors that are looking to buy art or browse art, they would come there to see it. Doesn't have to be super big. It could just be like, one image at a time type thing. And then you either pay for some traffic or, encourage the artist to share that out to their social profiles. And like, oh my goodness, I'm featured on opengalleries.com. You can see my profile here. They're not saying go to my website and buy my stuff. They're saying, look at this third-party website where all my stuff's featured. Authority, right? Authority. Now they're benefiting from your domain name. That's worth them paying a little bit of a monthly fee. There we go. 3-minute business plan, applying those 3 steps. You set it up once. Talk to your first people. I'll talk about that at some point. But, those first people that are filling out those waiting lists, that they're interested in learning more about that domain name, you talk to them and you say, hey, what are you thinking for this? And what can I do to put up on this website to benefit you? And they say, oh, I'd love to show my artwork so people can come. Like, boom, you build that. And then you say, hey, if I build this, will you pay me $20 a month to have a profile on it? That's it. That's real. I feel like this stuff is so and it works. It just seems so simple. 3 minutes left. Okay, I'm going off on a rant. A little bit of a rant, which is this stuff is so simple that to be successful at it, you have to dumb down your thinking. If you're too stinking smart, you're going to think that you're going to get carried away in all that you could do, right? And chances are you do this. You're looking at a blank canvas that once you paint, you're going to put on opengalleries.com. But you're looking at a blank canvas and you're thinking of all the things you can do with it, and it limits you and you're paralyzed and you never do anything. Does that sound familiar? I'm guessing so. I do this all the time. But if you just boil it down to what can I get the users to, what would they benefit from in this domain? You put that tool together, you get some of them to do it. You just follow the easy 1, 2, 3. That website will grow. This is the same exact same. So just don't outthink it. You don't have to outthink it. Like, there's a reason towing.com is so simple. Like, it's honestly, what we do is very simple. It's so basic that I feel bad about asking my coders to, like, hey, super smart guys that can do all kinds of amazing things, will you take this form, add it to the database, and display it on the website again? Like, to a programmer, that's just not all that interesting. I want them to have the opportunity to do some new things, but realistically, it's simple. We just have to keep doing the same basics over and over. So you're better off to be dumb in this stuff than to be too smart. Maybe. So, well, we are running out of time. I actually planned on keeping this short today, and that didn't work. I love this. Like, this is my favorite topic. So let me just share out those domains that we talked about again over here. We did not talk about content managers, but of course you can come up with some ways to do that. Maybe it's a good opportunity to kind of apply that. What could you get? I mean, content managers, for goodness sakes, we just talked about user-generated content. But, user-generated content into SEO, like create some reports and stuff. You show the user-generated content. But then contentmanagers.com, bagtags.com, opengalleries.com, and then transportationtech.com, which I just love the TT, that transportation tech. That's why I included that one over there. Hopefully, me kind of unlocking what it is that we do here, what it is that has allowed our company to make millions over the years and employ everybody that works here and buy some amazing domain names so we can do this over and over and continue to grow and continue to help a lot of small businesses. Thousands of small businesses benefit from this business model and are willing to pay us each month. And thousands more will continue to grow and do this. And I encourage you and welcome you to just borrow it, imitate it, take it, build it out, and build yourself a membership site and, bring some value to the world and make some money on the way, passive income. So thanks for sticking with audio issues, video issues, all the different things that happen just because, why? It's a Monday. That's why we do it. And I will see you next week as we will dive a little more into the 3-step process. And I'll show you around some different ways you can generate some user-generated income. Well, I guess that makes sense too. User-generated content. Feel free to ask me any questions you have in the comments down below. Please like this video and share it with your friends. Let's get some viewers and help some people make websites and develop domain names, improve the world. And also, if you would, comment in the comments any questions you might have. Where did I run on? Help me out. It doesn't have to be pretty, but I do want to improve at what I do and help you take that domain name out of the back of your portfolio and make something great. So thanks for watching. Take care.